How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We just had Gary Gensler go on CNBC Squawk Box and talk about Bitcoin, that it is not a security, and talk about some altcoins as well. Not specifically naming them, but giving his thoughts kind of on the subject. And Joe does push him a little bit on that subject, whether he thinks, are all these altcoins just garbage and you won't approve them as commodities, and he gives his thoughts kind of. let's play that clip. I also want to show you some other stuff that's happening in the market, including why we're moving up this morning, and another fresh round of stimulus that they're talking about in China. This is after the initial round of stimulus. This is after yesterday when I reported that they were going to do direct handouts to people as well, up to $4,000 to $5,000 for people that are very poor. Now they're talking about more stimulus. So I want to go through that. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this. If you want to try trading, or if you want to trade on a new platform, there's a link to Margex underneath the video. It's not for everyone, but the fact is the market is going to be extremely bullish, in my opinion, over the next year and a half. And that's the best time to be long this market. Like, that's where you get these incredible returns where you can either go extremely long with high leverage, or you can go lower leverage with larger amounts. So if you want to check this out underneath the video, you can still sign up, no KYC. You also get access to this airdrop as well. There are links to a couple other platforms too if you want to try them out as well underneath the video. Let's start here. Market is up, so you can see 64.5. Maybe some of that is due to what we saw last night, which is IBIT shoving a ton of money into Bitcoin, whether it's a delay in the actual buying of the Bitcoin, or whether it is, maybe some people reacting to this saying, oh, they're buying, well, maybe I should buy a little bit. Almost 3,000 Bitcoin bought yesterday by IBIT. That means that overall we had a net inflow of about $100 million. We also got some good news in economic data today. Initial claims was 218,000. The estimate was 224,000. The prior was 219. So less people than expected out of work, claiming unemployment. It's bullish. It's bullish for the economy. It's bullish for the market. That means, hey, we can continue to lower rates, especially if inflation's good. And also the economy seems pretty good. The job market seems pretty good. So we're getting further and further away from that recession that everyone's watching for. China is issuing more debt, apparently 284 billion of sovereign debt as part of a fresh fiscal stimulus, according to sources. Some of the fiscal support measures could be unveiled as early as this week. Half of the stimulus package designed to stimulate consumption, the other half to help local governments tackle debt problems. Funds to provide monthly allowance of about 800 won or 800 per child to all households with 2 or more children, excluding first child, coming from sources. Okay, so another round of stimulus coming out from China. This is after the other package, the more comprehensive package, even lowering rates of some pre-existing mortgages. And then this is after the direct stimulus as well that we talked about yesterday. Obviously, they're just in a tough spot over there, and they're thinking they can print their way out. What does this lead to, though? This leads to more money supply. This leads to higher prices of assets, of scarce assets. So their real estate market in general has been very tough over the last few years. Their stock market is still not great. The Shanghai index was up 3.6% on the day. If we look, though, let's look over the last 20 years. You can see 2007, the stock market is still down nearly 50% from 2007. How terrible would that be that you invested for the last 17 years and you're still down 50% and you just bought the index? That would be tough. So I don't know, maybe some Chinese investors are looking to invest into Bitcoin. I don't know. Could definitely be happening. Now, I want to talk about what just happened with Gary Gensler, but first, a word from today's show sponsor. On this channel, we talk a lot about how to invest your money, where to put your money. But what if you could invest your money into a business that generates you a monthly income? That's where today's show sponsor Limit Express Company comes in. They will completely manage a store on Amazon for you, selling products like Colgate toothpaste, Crest mouthwash, Dove soap, and many more products. In order for Limit Express to buy these products at extremely cheap pricing, they need to spend over $500,000 with their suppliers every month. That's why they have over 150 clients that send in the funding for the inventory. They pull that money together to place a big order for their supplier. They get really cheap pricing on all the inventory and sell them for a profit on your Amazon store. And they completely manage the inventory and sales. Of course, always do your own research, right? This is not a make free money card, but if you are interested in becoming a client or just learning more about earning an income on Amazon, you can use the link underneath the video to book a free 30-minute Zoom call directly with the owner, Kyle. Now, we'll get to Gary Gensler in just a second, but take a look at this. Some have pointed out that interest on debt has surpassed defense spending. Actually, it did so over a year ago. As of this moment, interest spending is the second largest U.S. outlay, and it will surpass spending on Social Security in early 2025. That's assuming we continue up at this rate. Right now, we're on a run rate of $1.2 trillion in just debt, just interest. Now, I would akin this to a household having the number 2 biggest monthly or annual expense being credit card debt. Maybe not credit card debt, but some kind of debt, right? Some kind of higher interest rate debt that you just can't get rid of. You have so much sitting there that your debt now is almost passing your housing expense. It's like, okay, there's housing, there's the debt, then there's food. Like that. That's kind of how it's stacked up. That does not sound healthy. Of course it happens, but you would think the US government would be able to cut back on the trillions of dollars it spends each year. Okay, Gary Gensler. He says Bitcoin is not a security. Let's take a look at this.
But there's some argument to be made that you want this, that actually it would be better if all of this business was happening in the US. You talk about an SBF. Obviously that was taking place in the Bahamas. And, a lot of people were trying to do things in other places. If there was a real regime here that everybody could trust and we had established rules and there weren't these questions about whether you were going to go over the line or you're behind the line, where the line was, would that be better?
I think that we do have those rules.
So you think those lines exist? Then why do people in the industry say that they don't know what the rules are?
Look, not liking the rules is not the same as that there aren't rules. And I think there's a lot that have profited off of the public's interest in this field, but profited without the proper disclosures. And
let me pause it for a second. That's true. Some people have profited without proper disclosures. Not that anyone reads them anyways, but I guess if you are ignorant enough to think there's no risk and you're smart enough to read the disclosures, maybe they would have helped you. But I do think that he makes a point that's probably valid, that there were people that took advantage and didn't have the right disclosures just to make more money, or they did things that they're not supposed to based on U.S. law. But there's so many companies that got approved, right, even for to go public, like Coinbase, and then we're told that they were doing something illegal. Right? That they have to pay large fines. They got tied up in multi-year lawsuits. Instead of just coming to the SEC and working something out, they weren't able to. They had to wait until there's some kind of enforcement action against them. And this happened time and time again. Let me just keep playing this, though. I'm going to get myself riled up.
And inherently, there's business models that have a lot of conflicts. And we've seen the results of that time and time again. Outside of crypto and inside of crypto, we see what happens when there's so inherent conflict. So we've got 90 years of experience with this, Andrew. It works reasonably well. We've got the deepest, most liquid capital markets. We're trying to make them more efficient. What we're doing in the equity markets,
I think
what
you're
we're doing in the
warming
treasury
up
markets.
to top tier crypto. That's my take.
What's that?
I think you're warming up to top tier crypto. I don't think you think it's a monolith. I think you think there might be some actual usage or benefit to top tier crypto. Would you say recently you're evolving to where Go ahead.
Joe, where are you on what's called altcoins? There's 15 or 20,000.
That's what I
Where
know.
are you, Joe?
But you, when you came in,
Ha ha ha. It's frustrating that for a while, for years, Gary Gensler was even asked whether Ethereum was a security. And even though his predecessor had said that it was not a security, he wouldn't give a straight answer. So that's the kind of stuff where, yeah, companies would get angry. He's been in this job for years, and only recently did we get a Bitcoin ETF, right, in 2023. No, 2024, like the very beginning of 2024, which, I mean, how many investors missed out? How many wealth managers missed out by not being able to buy Bitcoin during a bear market? They did it, years after the market dipped. And they did this years after Gary Gensler's gone into office. They kept on putting it off. They just recently allowed Ethereum ETF, but they haven't given any clarification on really any cryptocurrencies besides XRP, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Like, why not just make something? Why don't they use something? Why don't they explain how they are grading these, or how they're rating these different cryptocurrencies, so that people know what they're buying? Like, stop saying they've told everyone, because when Gary Gensler's in front of Congress and they ask him a simple question, is Ethereum a security? He goes around it like he's a politician. So, just so frustrating.
he said, yeah, that I probably only own Bitcoin, and you act like that's okay for me because I don't own all the garbage. I think you were thinking. So I just get the feel.
Garbage was your word.
I know, but are you
It was
warming
not
up
that
to
kind of a word.
Huh?
It was not that kind of a word. That
Actually,
that's right.
Joe, for the public, used a stronger word than garbage.
I did, but are you warming up to? Do you see that it's probably here to stay and something that could be useful?
This is something I said to students 4 and 5 years ago.
I know, but you didn't say it to once you were the SEC chairman.
No. That this field will not long persist without investor protection or consumer protection.
Can it persist?
Number two, many of these projects, without prejudging anyone, are tapping into the public's interest to raise money.
He says without prejudging anyone. Go and judge them, Gary. Tell us which ones are commodities, which ones are securities, and then the companies can put proper guidelines in place and proper disclosures in place.
Raise money. That's the classic securities sort of protections that you put in place. You can decide to go long or short these projects, but you need the disclosures. And as it relates to Bitcoin, my predecessor and I have said that's not a security. You now have a way that you can actually express that view, buy into that through exchange-traded products, traded on NASDAQ, traded on New York Stock Exchange and the like.
Okay, that's a yes then.
Where do you think Bitcoin is going to be in our society 20 years from now? If you were to sort of,
I don't really know.
have any idea?
I don't know. I mean, there's 7 billion people around the globe. I'm not going to make a prediction as to any one project, but what I would say is the field is going to have a challenge building trust,
Right.
and it already has a challenge building trust when there's so many fraudsters, scammers, grifters in the field, and there are.
But what happened?
All right. So that is Gary Gensler's latest interview. Let me know what you think about that down below in the comments section. Of course, if you want to trade this market, if you are bullish, you can see we're breaking out right now. 64.8, making another run at 65. If you're bullish, if we break through this, maybe you want to set up an account down below at Margex. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.